Hey everyone, it's time for another live look at the astrology. This is June 28th through July 4th, 2021. If you're joining me live, or even if you're not joining me live, you might notice some new surroundings. As I hinted at last week, I moved across the Hudson River, and I'm now in Jersey City, but I'm still a New Yorker at heart. We just, and I was actually thinking a lot about, I realize this is coming from a personal place, but this is my own manifestation of the astrology right now. And maybe you're feeling this in your own way. This is a time when the things that you thought would never change, maybe they change. If you had said to me January, February, maybe even March that I was going to move, I would not have believed you. But this is a positive move. This is a great move. This is a time when you sort of see an opportunity, and sometimes you have to go after it, even if it's maybe something you never would have considered. So there was a lot of quick weighing of pros and cons, and ultimately I saw that this was hopefully, really it's soon in the game, that this would be a positive move. Yeah, JC. I see some familiar faces on the live. Thank you all for your well wishes. If you hear any puppy noises in the background, it's because I have a puppy now. Like I said, this is like a manifestation of the astrology, but this is just a personal example. I was like, something has to shift. And maybe you're thinking the same thing. Something has to shift. Maybe you're stuck in a rut. Maybe you're stuck in an old pattern and you're like, I can't keep doing this anymore, but you don't know how to get out of your own way. And this is the thing. This is more about the fixed signs. Fixed signs are, just a recap, your Taurus, your Leo, your Scorpio, your Aquarius. You're my fixed signs, people. I'm also a fixed sign. Some of you may know that I am a Scorpio, and the fixed signs are about keeping things fixed. We need that energy. Imagine if there was nothing that was fixed or solid in our lives. We would feel a deep sense of insecurity and instability. This is what Taurus, the first earth sign, teaches us. In astrology, we need to have roots. But the thing about where we are now astrologically is because we're having all this energy moving and shifting and shaking in the fixed signs. And this is why I've been saying, I think for the last month or two, the fixed signs are not so fixed at this moment. And maybe if you're a fellow fixed sign, or if you have fixed signs rising, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because the things that maybe the shape of things or the way things were at the start of 2020 or 2021, sorry, I don't know what year it is. I only moved 4 days ago. The start of 2021, and this is something that I've been saying off and on, is that this year, it's as if we have one foot in a new life and we have one foot in an old life, and we're feeling the tension, we're feeling the awkwardness, we're feeling the pull between these two parts of our lives. And so what do? How do we resolve the tension? Do we stay stuck? And Lord knows I could have stayed where I was. Was it an option? Absolutely. Was it a good option? I don't know. That's the thing. When you're in something, it's hard to see things objectively. But sometimes you have to make a radical change in order to get closer to something that you want, even if it's not what you thought the kind of change you were going to do. So yeah, I went from this is my joke, I went from my Scorpio cave in Brooklyn to high up in the sky and New Jersey with views of Lower Manhattan. So yes, so thank you all for joining me tonight. Again, my name is Katie Sweetman. I am an astrologer and psychic medium here in New York City. I can't really say Brooklyn anymore, but Brooklyn was my home for 16 years. And we gather every week to talk about what is going on with the astrology. And I may have a different background when I see you all next week. My mom was like, what are you going to do for your life? How are you going to set it up? I was like, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out where the kitchen dishes are so I can stop eating takeout. But like I said, and the reason I'm sharing this is because this week we have a particularly tense aspect in the sky. Just a reminder, tense doesn't equal bad. Now this is the same tense aspect that brought me here. This is an energy, an alchemy that demands change. And then, of course, the astrology is 50%. We are the other 50%. What are we going to do? Are we going to stay in our caves? I could have stayed in my Scorpio cave. Or do we make a big shift? Do we plot? Do we strategize? Do we use this for our own benefit, the best that we can? So this week, we have Mars is in Leo, and also Venus is in Leo. Venus went into Leo yesterday. I'm like, what day is it? Who am I? Who are you all? What state am I in? Venus went into Leo yesterday. Oh, my dog found its chew toy. Great. All those listening to the recording are going to love this. Venus went into Leo yesterday, and Venus loves Leo. Venus loves love and Leo. It loves the romance of life. It loves, take that away from him next live. It loves the romance of life. It loves to have fun. It loves to have play. My dog is enjoying Venus in Leo. But Venus is joining Mars in Leo. Mars has been in Leo not that long. I think a couple of weeks. My normally encyclopedic astrology brain is not as sharp today as it normally is. But Mars has been in Leo for a couple of weeks. Now, when Mars went into Leo, and now Venus is there too, it started to apply pressure to Saturn. Saturn is all the way on the opposite side of the sky in Aquarius. And this is what's called an opposition. Oppositions, they demand some sort of resolution. They demand some sort of middle ground. Traditionally, Mars opposite Saturn is not looked favorably on. When people freak out about Mars and Saturn aspect, I just tell people, look, I was born with Mars square Saturn. It's one of the tightest aspects in my chart after my Mercury conjunct Neptune. And it's not an easy energy, but it's an energy that you have to work, you have to use. And this is what I'm saying to you all today. Like, you have to use this energy this week. Mars opposite Saturn this week is one of two things. Either you hit a brick wall. Don't do that. I hope you don't do that. Either you get the big no from the universe, and I'm going to break that down a little bit for you all because there's a reason behind it. There's a reason we get the no. Or Saturn says, good job. You are great with your being an adult. Here, let's have more responsibility. Let's take the next step up. But this is not your normal Mars-Saturn opposition. Why? Because it's activating Saturn square Uranus. So I'm going to ask you all to do a little bit of geometry for a moment. You have two planets in opposition. It's a 180-degree angle. And then you have a planet making a square to the opposition. So you have 90 degrees on both. Yeah, we're doing some math tonight. You have 90 degrees on both sides of that square. This is what's called a T-square in astrology. It's tense astrology. It's in the fixed signs, so it's really driving home that point that the fixed signs are not so fixed at the moment. And then the apex of the planet, technical language, the apex of the planet at the top of this T-square is Uranus. And Uranus, so the planet at the apex of the T-square means that's the planet that's the focal point of the energy. That's the planet that we have to sort of figure out, give it a job, make it work. And what does Uranus and Taurus want? Uranus and Taurus wants us to do things radically different. It wants us to break out of old molds and old patterns, to be really real with ourselves, and where we are either getting in our own way or trying to be something that we are not. Sort of the analogy I use is Uranus sort of looks at us and it's like, why are you trying to be somebody you're not? Like, this is not who you are. This is not the shape of you. This is not your thoughts, your ideas. Here, let me help. Uranus is a planet that is trying to help us grow and evolve. So there is something this week where underneath everything, Uranus is trying to help us to grow and evolve. So my rhetorical question, my one-sided question for you all is, how are you going to grow and evolve this week, next week? The other thing, and I said a few moments ago, it's like you have Mars opposite Saturn. Saturn is painted as a bad guy in astrology, and for good reasons. But here's what Saturn wants. This is a technical point, but I'll break it down. Saturn is exalted in Libra. This is an old system in astrology. It tells you which planets do their best work in some signs and which planets don't work well in other signs. It kind of gets lumped into a whole good-bad dichotomy, and I think it's a lot more nuanced than that. But this is what Saturn teaches us. Saturn teaches us that life needs balance, Libra. It needs equity, balance. It needs to be, we need to share, we need partnership. And so this is a reminder that this week we need balance. If something is out of balance, you are going to run into that Mars-Saturn opposition, and you're going to feel it, because Saturn's like a checkpoint. Saturn's like, what are you doing? You know, this should be, life cannot flow in this current configuration. So this week is almost like a stress test. Saturn is structures, it's limits. You know, you have to know your limits this week. You cannot over push unless you have the support in order to go further. So maybe some of you, and it's not a judgment. It's not the universe saying, "Oh, you bad." You know, this is about you sort of reaching a checkpoint with Saturn, and then Saturn is saying, "Okay, this works or this doesn't work." It's that simple. But then you have the twist, the Uranus twist, is where if it is working, how does it change? If it's not working, how do you go back to the drawing board? How do you radically reinvent everything? So your takeaways for this week is, how do you make sure things are in balance right now? How do you make sure your structures, literal structures, non-physical structures, the sort of the metaphorical, energetic, emotional structures of your life, how do you make sure they're solid? How can, you know, because life is sort of putting more on. Like if you have goals and ambitions, Saturn's like, great, let's do it. But if you're not doing the work, or if the foundation's not good, then this is a week where you might feel some pushback. The other thing to the point about Uranus, that you have to give this energy an outlet. Maybe some of you are doing it very consciously, meaning you're actively making changes. You're using this energy saying, okay, I'm going to do this because I can't keep doing that anymore. I can't say I 100% consciously use this energy to make my move. I would say 80%. But there was instinct involved. There was sort of this like, something's got to shift, something's got to change. And then an opportunity presented itself, and I was like, you know what? We're gonna make a change. And I was like, wow, like look at, you know, I haven't even had my Uranus opposition yet. Sorry, it's a little bit of a technical point, but here, and I'm not even, I'm not an Aquarius, I'm not a Taurus, I'm not a Leo, although I do have a major planet in Leo. But it was like, wow, look, this is how this is manifesting in my life. So this might be manifesting in your life differently, but it's just to know that this energy wants us to get out of our way and to let life flow. Because at the end of the day, that's what Saturn wants. Saturn wants life to flow, but life has to be in balance. Life has to have systems that are equitable or sustainable. So if something's not sustainable right now, it's probably going to come up this week. So just sort of, and if you are a Scorpio, if you are an Aries, or if you are a Capricorn or an Aquarius, you're really feeling this dynamic tension this week. And so use it to push up, you know, take that next big step up in your life, because Saturn always likes to pat on the back, so to speak. The other thing to keep in mind about this energy is that this is checking in with a story that began in 2018, 2019. I know that this is something that I talked about off and on, and some of you are my clients, and you scratch your head and you're just like, well, I don't know what was going on in 2018. May of 2018, Uranus goes into Taurus for the first time in nearly a century. It's a big deal. You know, Uranus will spend 7 years in each of the 12 zodiac signs, so it takes 84 years to go around the zodiac. So yes, nearly a century. And it was the first time Uranus had gone into Taurus since 1930s, 1940s. So it went in, and Uranus is revolution, it's awakening, it's reinvention. It went into a fixed sign. It went to Taurus. Taurus is the sign that says life has to be stable and grounded and fixed. It doesn't want to move for good reason, but that's not where we are right now. Uranus goes in May of 2018. It stays until November 2018. It leaves. It goes back into Aries. And then on March 6th, 2019, it goes back. For some of you, and I know because I've had these conversations with you, those months, maybe even going into April 2019 or June of 2018, those were big times for you. Something happened, something seismic, something that started off a story, it shifted things, it sent you in a new direction. But for some of you, you can't remember. Nothing. It was maybe just a normal May of 2019. But nevertheless, a story began then. And this week, even though here we are 2-3 years later, this week directly connects back to those two moments in time. And I'm a Scorpio, so the story that I tell people from time to time is that in March of 2019, I left my 20-year IT job to do astrology full time. So this is where, for me, that's what my story was. So here we are, like the changes, they keep coming. But this is just a personal share. Of course, you all are going to live this differently. So let's just kind of recap the astrology for this week. For June 28th through July 4th, yes, we were coming to the end of the month. It's sort of like, we're coming out of eclipse season. We had a solar eclipse on June 10th. I know that was a few weeks ago. But that seeded a new beginning. And I think that the new beginnings were seeded in June. And then July is where we have to sort of take action with these new beginnings. On July 1st, we don't really have a lot of, it's just basically lunar aspects until Thursday, July 1st. I will say the moon does go into Aries on Wednesday. I think it's the end of Wednesday, June 30th. When the moon goes into Aries, it's really going to heat things up. It's going to make this energy stronger, more powerful. Also, when the moon's in Aries and Mars is hot in the sky, just be careful about arguments or getting hot-headed or getting impatient, impetuous, especially because Mars is going to be making a square to Uranus later this week, so we can get a little accident-prone. So definitely watch yourself this week. But July 1st, Thursday, July 1st, Mars makes its opposition to Saturn. I believe it's at 13 degrees. Again, my normally sharp astrology encyclopedic brain is a little filled with moving boxes at the moment. But Mars is making the opposition to Saturn. This is sort of intense energy. Like I said, it's a big check-in on a bigger story. Saturn is also sort of doing a little stress test on your life, sort of saying what is working, what is not working. It's like we're having a sit down with our boss or somebody who's in charge of us, and we get feedback. And sometimes it's a pat on the back. It doesn't have to be something negative with Saturn. Then we go on Friday, July 2nd, and Mars, which is in Leo, makes a trine to Chiron and Aries. So we have this interesting aspect in the middle of all of this hard energy, trine to Chiron. Chiron says that maybe we are feeling a pain point this week. Chiron is an Aries, so there is this undercurrent of bravery and courage. Am I brave enough to do something? Am I courageous enough to leave my home of 12 years and move in a completely different place? Maybe there's something that we feel stuck in, but it really requires us to take action. And so Chiron is saying, yes, you do have the bravery and courage to do this. When we do something for ourselves with Chiron, we don't just do it for ourselves. Actually, we actually do it for humanity, because our work with Chiron to be brave, to be courageous, actually inspires others. And there's this kind of personal collective element to Chiron, and that's where, if we heal ourselves, that becomes an inspiration to others, and then we help others heal, and then our pain points are not so painful because we see how maybe our medicine can help other people. Then we go into Saturday, July 3rd. We have Mars square Uranus. So as I said, Uranus is in Taurus, Mars is in Leo. It's boom, boom, boom with this T-square energy, this energy that needs an outlet and a positive outlet, at that. And then we end the week with Sun square Chiron. So the Sun is, is it Sun square Chiron? Yes, Sun square Chiron. The Sun is in Cancer, last time I checked. Chiron is also in Aries. So this is the time of years where normally, like I said, a sore spot gets activated. It's at least here in the United States, it's a major holiday that day. So maybe it's not so simple, not so easy. We're feeling the ache of the past. We're feeling something really deep, maybe about home and family and connection. But again, we have to be brave. We have to be courageous, and we have to know that the things that we do positively for ourselves also help and inspire other people. So be that role model. I think that's a positive way to use Chiron's energy. So let's look at what this is going to mean for each of the 12 signs. Just a quick note. When you're watching the replay, I do put timestamps in the, I don't always remember to do it for Facebook, but at least for if you're watching on IGTV or even on YouTube, it's really simple. You actually can click on the timestamp and it takes you to the part that talks about your sign. Because I know somebody said, well, I can't watch 50, 45 minutes. I'm like, I get you. Here, click on the timestamp. So that's just a little, friendly run. Sue is like, have you moved? Yes, I moved. I left Brooklyn, although I didn't move too far, respectively, although like spiritually it's a little bit of a different place. But yeah, I think that this is just a reminder that sometimes life gives us an opportunity and we have to go after it and just sort of take a gamble and gamble on ourselves and go after something that's better and face all of our stuff that's saying that maybe we don't deserve this or maybe it's not going to work out, but we all deserve to be happy. So anyway, let's look at the 12 signs. Aries. So you're really feeling this tension. Mars is in Leo. Leo is the sign that talks about you. It talks about how you express yourself, your individuality, your creativity. And then you have Saturn over in your sign of friends, your social network, your social circle. So maybe you're feeling a tension this week between your friends and also how you express who you are. Like, how do you still maintain your individuality? You also have the tension, the outlet of the T-square happening in Taurus, your second sign of money, but also value and worth. So maybe it's kind of digging into some greater existential themes around, am I valuable enough to be myself? Do my friends value me? But maybe this is a time when you really have to have a value shift in general. That's where the outlet is happening. Maybe you've put a lot of emphasis on a certain currency or a certain value structure that doesn't work anymore. Maybe it's even your self-worth and you have to really update your self-worth at this time. But this is, you're feeling this, Aries, especially because Mars is your planet and Mars is over in Leo. And normally this would be a time to have fun and to enjoy things. But maybe there's a tension that's happening. You can't have fun. Maybe you're getting some pushback. I'll also say that this is a time when you need to take yourself and take your talents seriously and put your stuff out there in the world and really know the true worth and value of your talents, and maybe that faith of knowing that the world, or hoping that the world will receive what you have to put out there. So that might be another way in which that manifests for you, Aries. Taurus, you are in the hot seat. You've been in the hot seat for a couple of years. As I've been saying, Uranus is in your sign. It's been in your sign since 2019. What I've been saying to all my Taurus clients is that who you were in 2018 is not who you are now. You're under tremendous push to make a radical shift and not just your life, but also how you express who you are. So this has been a huge time of new beginnings, trying to get out of yourself, your old you, your old patterns, your old ruts. And then you have Mars as in Leo, and Leo is your sign of home and family. So maybe you've been thinking about making a move. Maybe you have made a move. I feel like I've known a Taurus that is making an interstate move. I know another Taurus that is doing a major remodeling project. Of course, this can manifest differently for everybody, but there's something about home that's really important right now. And then you have Saturn in your career sign. So this is a time where you're trying to find the balance between home life, work life, your professional ambitions, but also your need to take care of yourself, take care of your home, connect with your loved ones. Maybe you're even making a move for work, but there is this big push and pull that's happening. Like I said, not every Taurus is moving, but maybe you are thinking about a move. But wherever you are moving, whether it's literal or metaphoric, it has to be in complete alignment with who you are. Not the concept or the version of who you thought you were 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but who you truly are. So this is why if it's not a physical move, it's a psychic move. And maybe that psychic move of replanting yourself somewhere, it's going to change how you direct your life. It's going to change your professional life and your ambitions. So there you go. Taurus. Gemini, this energy is happening a little bit behind the scenes. We have Mars is in Leo. Leo is your sign of quick wait. We'll just go over to Uranus. Uranus is in your last sign. It's in your 12th sign. Leo is your sign of voice and communication, and you're feeling the tension and the opposition between what are your convictions? What do you stand up for? What do you believe in? What is your faith? There's a deeper, I think, soul searching that's happening now for Gemini. And how do you articulate what you are feeling inside? I think it's important to understand, Gemini, is that there is a lot that's happening in your unconscious right now. Since 2018, 2019, you've been in a phase of life where you've been basically turning on the lights and seeing things that you have not seen about yourself before. If you've been resisting seeing yourself, this Uranus is the great awakener for a reason. So it's trying to wake you up. And maybe that is shifting the way you see the world, or what your convictions are, what you stand up for, or what you believe in. And maybe what you believed in 2 years ago, 3 years ago is not what you believe in right now. Nevertheless, right now, Gemini, Mars is in your sign of voice and communication. You've got something to say at the moment. So say it. Don't let it, don't bottle it in. And maybe you're having to kind of stand up for your beliefs or stand up for your convictions. Or maybe because you have your little mystery of Uranus in your 12th sign, what you thought you believed in, what you thought you stood for, maybe isn't what you stood for. So you're in a little bit of a radical shift at the moment. It's just happening in a way that's very different than the other signs. Gemini. Cancer. Happy birthday, Cancer. Yes, it's Cancer season. We have Saturn. Saturn is one of your relationship planets. It's in, this kind of tense configuration with Mars and Uranus. So even though this is playing out, this what's called T-square is playing out in a different part of your chart, it may also be affecting relationships. So that's just something for you to keep in mind, Cancer. But we have Saturn is in what's called your 8th sign. I went into this a little bit last week, but the 8th sign, and what I call the 8th room in your astrology house, the 8th sign is where you have to go and face yourself. So Cancer, you're in a time when a lot of deep emotions are coming up, a lot of facing your fears, facing a lot of things around intimacy, vulnerability, power, control, money, finance. And then you have Mars on the other side of thing in your sign of money and income. So maybe you're very aware right now of the money in your bank account, the money in your pocket, what you have literally, what you have digitally, currency. But you're very aware of value and worth at the moment, and there is this, dynamic tension happening between your money, other people's money, and sort of having to do the resolving of these two things. But it's also putting pressure on these, like I said, these deeper emotional things that are coming up at the moment. There has to be some sort of emotional reformation that happens at this time, Cancer. It's like if you've been trying to keep things in, this configuration, this T-square might really push everything out. It might fall out of you, like all these emotions, all this pent-up anger, all this pent-up feelings starts to come out. You have Uranus at the apex of this energy. It's in your 11th sign. The 11th sign is about friends, your social circle, your groups, your larger community connections. But this part of the chart also talks about the future, meaning your ability to envision and conceptualize and to orient yourselves towards a greater future. And maybe you are sort of trying to look out ahead in your life, but you have this sort of all these emotions and all these feelings and maybe even these fears coming up, and Uranus is trying to get you to see a different future. Maybe Cancer, you have a very solid and rooted and fixed, even though you're not a fixed sign, but the moon is exalted in Taurus, and Taurus is a fixed sign. Maybe you have a very fixed vision of your future, but Uranus is like, maybe there's something better. This is where sometimes we can get in our way because we have a very, it can only happen in this way. My joke was that I was never going to leave my old apartment. I was rent stabilized. Why would I leave? I'm going to die there. No. But sometimes the universe says, well, maybe there's a different future that's out there for you, and you have to get out of your way and stop blocking it. So this is maybe the same as for you, Cancer. How do you stop blocking a potentially better future than one that you are currently envisioning? Leo, one of my other signs in the hot seat at the moment. Leo, you've got Mars in Leo right now. So you got a lot of energy and fire and drive at the moment. Mars is an asset, as an ally. You want to move forward. But this is the thing about having Mars in this part of your chart and having Saturn at the other side of things. It's hard to move forward with the quickness that you want to move right now because Saturn is in your relationship sign. Saturn says you can't do things alone. You have to check in with somebody else. You have to find a solution that's not just the best for you, but that works for other people. So there's a bit of a push and pull that's happening between you and another person right now. It could be a romantic relationship. It could also be a relationship that's not, just a partnership, just a connection. But how do you learn to compromise right now, Leo? How do you learn to find the solution that is best for everybody? But this is sort of opening you up to new relationship as well, because Saturn actually really not secretly, I think just people don't know this, Saturn loves relationship. Saturn teaches us that we can't do things alone, that life flows when we have help. So Saturn is over in your relationship sign and saying it's time to build new partnership. And this also could be professional partnership because you have Uranus at the apex of the T-square in your career sign. And so you have to really rethink your career. You have to rethink your direction. Maybe you had a vision of what you thought your career was going to look like, but 2021 is shifting the game, it's shifting the plans. So how do you do things differently? And what I've been saying over and over again to my Leo clients is that your professional life is going to change. Doesn't mean that you're going to leave the job that you're currently at, but something about it will fundamentally change. I'm not a betting person, but it's almost a guarantee. And I've seen it over and over and over again with my Leo and my Leo rising clients. Something about your professional life has to change. It probably has changed already. So you may see a lot of this energy show up in your professional life. No side note, because it's just popping into my head. Saturn is also your planet of health and wellness because it's in this T-square connection, you have to make some changes in your health and wellness. Maybe you are changing your diet. Maybe you are, using this energy to start a fitness regime. But Saturn is also, in a way, wanting you to make some big changes in how you take care of your body and how you organize your day-to-day life. Virgo. So Virgo, this is, by the way, Virgo, you and Gemini and Pisces and Sag, you're just coming out off the eclipses. We had a solar eclipse just 3 weeks ago, so you're still feeling the eclipse energy. Nevertheless, we have Saturn is in your sign of health and wellness. So kind of saying the same thing a moment ago for Leo. Something has to change in how you take care of yourself. Something has to change in, it could even be how you organize your day-to-day life. Just a reminder, Saturn wants balance. So something about your physical life, something about your day-to-day life is out of balance. It could even be, how you structure your day time-wise. Then Saturn is saying, no, it has to change. Saturn is the planet of systems and networks. Is also time, karma, aging, boundaries. So how do you sort of address all these different points with this week with this energy? Then on the other side of things, you have Mars in your 12th sign. So when Mars is in this part of the chart, traditionally we don't have a lot of energy. We feel run down, we need to rest, we can't push forward and take action because the 12th sign is where we come to the end of something. It's a time to recoup, it's to regenerate, to rest. It's not a time to push forward. So maybe you're sort of seeing this happen in your body, happen in your health. Maybe you've been running on full steam for a while and Mars is like, no, stop, sit down, rest, get more sleep. You can't, run your life on this amount of sleep or whatever. I mean, this is going to be different for everybody. So it's a time to really take care of yourself, mind, body, and soul. Mars in this part of the chart says what you can do is use this energy towards spiritual pursuits. This could be retreat. God, I can think of the word. A retreat or meditation or doing that inward work. On the other side of things, like I said, Saturn is over in Aquarius, your 6th sign. And then we have Uranus in Taurus. So there's been this whole big shift over the last 3 years of Virgo about how you see things. You cannot, I repeat, Virgo, you cannot be entrenched in your beliefs right now, because if you sort of are looking at things with a very fixed lens at the moment, this is where Uranus is trying to wake you up, get you out of your way, get you to see things differently. So how do you, again, see things differently? Maybe this is, how does this affect your health and your wellness, how you take care of your body? Sometimes entrenched beliefs can show up in our physical life, and it can show up in our diet and our health and our wellness. So how can you have a radical shift? I will say that when a major planet is in the 12th, your 12th Virgo, this is also a time to end something, to end an attachment, to let go of something, an addiction, an attachment, a connection. So maybe this is, you were, really love sweets, but you know that that's just terrible for you. I'm just using this as an example. And you use this energy to really make a positive change in an attachment that maybe isn't serving you anymore. So you'll have to see how this shows up in your life, Virgo. Libra. So we have Saturn in your 5th sign. And when Saturn's in the 5th sign, you have to take yourself and you have to take your talent seriously. And that's sort of this high bar that you're being held up against right now, Libra. But on the other side of things, you have Mars in your 11th sign. And when Mars is there, where the action is happening, it's in your social circle, it's in community, it's in your vision for the future, it's in your sense of social causes and politics and justice and equity. And how do you do you, but how does it connect to the world outside of you? Because here's the balance between the 5th and the 11th in astrology. It's like it can't be so much in the 5th that it becomes almost narcissistic. It's all about me. It can't be so much in the 11th that we lose sight of our individuality. So you have to find the balance. Now you have Uranus in your 8th sign, the 8th room. So when Uranus is in the 8th sign, you're having to awaken to where you self-destruct, where you get in your own way, where these patterns of self-destruction show up in how you express who you are, your sense of confidence, your sense of self-worth, how you express your talents. And maybe you have this great talent, Libra, but you're afraid to share it with the world. You're afraid to put it out there because of all these deep feelings and what have you, these fears that sort of prevent you from taking that next step. So that's where you might be feeling the connection. Like I said, also might be showing up in your social circle, or some sort of tension between you and a friend or you and a group. And how do you sort of do the deep emotional work right now? Scorpio. So Scorpio, I'm a Scorpio. So you have Saturn in your sign of home and family. And so what I've been saying to all Scorpios is that the question that you have to answer by the start of 2023, don't worry, you have time, is where is home? Who is home? Like, who is your family? And it doesn't have to be blood family. It can be the people who are like family. Like I said, would never have guessed that I would have moved if you told me I was going to move at the start of this year. But I'm a Scorpio, and I have to answer this question the best way I can. Where is home? Who is home? But it's an ongoing story. This is why I said you have to do it by 2023. So meanwhile, Saturn wants you to put down roots. It wants you to settle down. For some Scorpios, this is a move. For some Scorpios, people are moving in or moving out. There's a change in the household. There's a change in your living environment. This also includes new family members, which means babies. Sometimes babies can come in when Saturn is in this part of the chart because babies are family members. On the other side of things, you have Uranus in your relationship sign. So this is sort of this massive shift in how you connect with people, how you socialize, how you interact. My joke is that Scorpio is a sign with a lot of guard. Scorpio, that guard is great, but when it becomes too much, it becomes like a fortress and nobody can get in. So how do you start to let people in? And then you have Mars in your career sign. So Mars is heating up your professional life. It's giving you the motivation and the drive to succeed, to push further in the world. But here's what I tell people about this opposition. Your home is your base. You need a base that's going to support you and nourish you. If your base is structurally faulty, if it's not nourishing you, then how can you expect your professional life to have a good, solid foundation to rest upon? So it's like our worldly ambitions all rest on having a good, solid foundations. This is where you have to sort of see how maybe your home environment is either supporting or hindering sort of greater ambitions in the world and your ability to take responsibility. But all this has to rest on you and your ability to connect with people. That's where the apex of the T-square is right now, Scorpio. Sagittarius. So here we have Uranus is in your sign of health and wellness. This, go back a few years. There has been this huge shift in how you take care of yourself, fitness, your diet, even your day-to-day life has had to radically shift. But then you have Saturn in your sign of voice and communication and how you express yourself. So this is a time when you have to take your voice seriously, and you have to do it over the next couple of years by 2023. So you have something important to say and you have something serious to say. This is also a time about serious choices. Is it a left? Is it a right? Is it an up? Is it a down? But then you have Mars over in your sign of what you believe in, your faith, your truth, your convictions. It's also publishing and getting your ideas out there in the world. So it's like you have this voice, Sagittarius. Are you using it? How do you broadcast yourself? How do you put your voice and your ideas and your opinions out there? And then we don't have them be so opinionated that it becomes like concrete. But this is the apex of this square is saying is that you have to restructure and reorganize your life in order for you to really be able to truly express yourself, to make the choices that are right for you, to really be able to live your ideals and live your faith. And this may mean even having to make physical changes, dietary changes, health changes, and changes in your environment. It also says that if you want something, Sagittarius, you got to work for it. You got to put the work in, because the sixth sign is a part about work. And it could be the time of the start of a major project or the continuation of a project that started the past couple of years. Capricorn, you're in an interesting spot right now because your planet, Saturn, is in this tight T-square with Uranus and Mars. So you're really feeling the pressure right now. And I think, this is an earlier point that I made, but I think it's really important for you, Capricorn. Know your limits. No, in Capricorn, you just keep building, you keep climbing, you well, I hit this goal, what's the next goal? And sometimes maybe it's masochistic, but it's like, stop climbing, so for the sake of, just climbing. What are you trying to reach? Is some of these goals unsustainable? Is there a negative physical effect because you're working too hard, for example? So this is a week where the universe is asking you to make major structural changes, and if there is a crack, so to speak, it may get bigger this week. You might be, I thought I could keep doing this, but then the astrology is like, no. So how do you put balance back into things right now, Capricorn? You have Saturn is in Aquarius. Aquarius is your money sign. So there's a deeper story around money and value, and the value of your time, and the value of your work, and what you spend and put your time into, and even your self-worth. And then you have Mars in your 8th sign. So this is bringing up a lot of deep emotions, deep insecurities, fears, intimacies, and vulnerabilities, and maybe even talking about financial issues, looking at your finances, looking at wealth, lack of wealth, and how do you create more material stability in your life, Capricorn. But nevertheless, you can't keep building something that's not sustainable. But for some Capricorns, maybe you're using this energy to take the next big step up in your life, but the outlet for this energy, Uranus, is in your 5th sign of Taurus. Something about you has to radically shift. If you are in your way, Capricorn, if you are stuck in a rut, something has to change. That's where it's like, be yourself, Capricorn. Don't try to fit the plan of your parents or your peers or your community. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. But what do you need, Capricorn? Do you need to not work so hard? Do you need to, reorient everything towards the things that are actually going to really fulfill and support you? Aquarius, you are also in the hot seat. So you have Saturn in your sign. Saturn's in Aquarius right now. So you are in the start of a 30-year story. I know, yes, 30 years. You are in this new beginning, this new chapter, and then you have, and we're one where you're having to take on new responsibilities. Maybe you are feeling the weight of time and responsibilities because Saturn is in your sign. And then you have Uranus over on the other side of things. It's in Mars. Mars is in your relationship sign. So you're having this push and pull happening between you and somebody else. Maybe you're trying to take a next big step up in your life, but there's a tension between you and a partner. Maybe this is a reminder, Aquarius, that you can't do things all on your own. You have to delegate, you have to share the load, you have to compromise, you have to not feel like you are completely overwhelmed with things at the moment. You need the support of other people. the apex of the T-square is in your 4th sign. So I'm not saying every Aquarius out there has moved or is moving, but I've certainly seen a lot of Aquarius rising people make a big move, whether it's a move cross country or move someplace radically different, maybe even staying in the same place, but your physical place has to look very differently. Or maybe it's a psychic move. I mean, this part of the chart is the roots and the foundation, and you have to make sure that your roots and your foundation are actually supporting you and allowing you to thrive at the moment. But Aquarius, a lot of pressure is on, and you have to sort of replant yourself or make some major structural shifts in your life. Otherwise, you're going to really feel Mars and Saturn this week. Pisces, last but not least, Pisces. What I've been saying over and over is that Saturn right now is in your 12th sign. You are, in general, in a time of endings. And I know that word makes people feel, oh, she said endings. But there's a time and place for everything. Everything must end. And Saturn is in your last sign, your 12th sign. And between now and between the beginning of 2021 and the start of 2023, you're sort of wrapping up a very old story. You're wrapping up an old life. You're surrounded with boxes. You're going through everything. You're like, why am I still holding on to this? Old memories, the past. So it's sort of surrendering and letting go, Pisces. Then you have Uranus in the part of your chart that talks about voice and communication and really opening up what you have to say. And maybe you haven't been saying things. Maybe Uranus is liberating your voice. Maybe it's helping you to make an intuitive connection, because the connection between the 12th and the 3rd can talk about the intuitive voice and the ability to be able to receive information intuitively or psychically. Then we have Mars in your sign of health and wellness, work and projects. So you have to, this the time right now, Pisces, where you're having to work really hard, or maybe you're working hard on a project, maybe you're working too hard, and you're having to really find the divide between your sort of your inner needs versus what the world is demanding at you right now. So don't overwork at the moment, but take care of yourself, Pisces. Take care of yourself, body, mind, and soul. Maybe you are seeing things differently this week, Pisces, and that's helping you to make different choices, because Uranus is in your 3rd sign, and the 3rd sign is also about choice. So really see how you are feeling this dynamic tension this week, Pisces. You're feeling it very differently than the other signs, and maybe sort of the intuitive flashes and intuitive insights you receive this week are helping you to take your life in a different direction and make different choices. So that is your look at the astrology of June 28th through July 4th, 2021. I want to thank you all for joining me again and again. See some familiar faces in the live chat. Again, my name is Katie Sweetman. This is Empowering Astrology. You can find me online at empoweringastrology.com. Book a consultation with me. Follow me on Instagram. I'm on Spotify. You can listen to this on Spotify. And of course, subscribe on YouTube. You can just click to your timestamp so you can listen to just your sign. You don't have to listen to the whole time me talking. But, again, it's so nice to see you all and to, I guess, unofficially welcome you into this new space, this new studio, air quotes, studio. Like I said, maybe I'll have things arranged a little differently next time. We'll see. But thank you all for joining me. I will see you all next week. Have a wonderful week. Stay cool. I know it's a bit hot in some places in the United States. Maybe it's a bit different where you are in the world, but it's certainly hot here in the Northeast. So I will see you all next week. Bye.